Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Barry's Book Reviews. Today we're talking about the work of Korean illustrator Jihyeon. And Jihyeon has written and illustrated two very highly praised picture books. Her first picture book was called Pool, and it was published in Korea in 2013. And then she published a book called Door, which was released in 2017. And these are both mostly wordless books designed for children, but they're also just beautiful works of art that adult readers, I think, will easily enjoy and get lost in as well. And Jihyeon was born in Seoul in South Korea, and I think she still lives here with her husband, at least that's what her bio says. She studied media art at the K-won School of Art and Design, and studied illustration at the Hanguk Illustration School. This first book, Pool, has been published in several different countries and translated. I say translated, but there's very little text in it, but it's been published in Spanish, French, Italian, Swedish, and I think various other languages as well. And this first book was awarded a gold medal for original art in 2015 by the Society of Illustrators in the USA. And it was a very successful book when it was released. It was a New York Times Notable Book of the Year, and I think also an NPR Book of the Year as well. And she has a very charming description, a very charming biography on her website. If you Google her name, you'll find her website. I'll share a link in the description. And it says that Jihyeon loves starry nights, the scent of grass after raining, and children's laughter. And I think that description, that gives you some small idea of the sensibility that produces these very wonderful and charming illustrated books. So why don't we start with this first book? Okay, so Pool. This is the first book. I think this is the first book that she published. So award-winning, prize-winning debut book. And what was the inspiration behind this book? So this book introduces us to a shy and introverted young boy. He's visiting a public swimming pool, perhaps for the first time, and he seems to feel a little intimidated by the large, noisy crowds of people that are splashing around in the public swimming pool. So he puts his goggles on and he dives into the water to escape from the noisy environment. Under the water, he meets a young girl, and this young girl leads him on a kind of journey. They go to this sort of fantastical underwater seascape, and it's populated by schools of fish, whales, and so they play with and they interact with these animals that they encounter. And then after a while, they return to the surface, and that's essentially it. That's all that happens. The artwork really is incredible. She uses these line drawings to depict various characters. So this is the young boy. You can see here. So he goes to the swimming pool, and there's these other larger, noisy, boisterous characters that fill the swimming pool, and eventually he tries to escape. He dives into the water, but the illustrations are beautiful. They're just extremely captivating, immensely captivating. They go from this sort of this dull grayer outside and become increasingly colorful as he goes on this sort of underwater adventure. And you can see him meeting the young girl here. Beautiful, beautiful images. And then she also uses the space in a just very captivating way. It really gives a sense of this journey that this boy goes on with this young girl. So very simple, very elegant, and very moving in a way. And as you might expect, the story was inspired by a visit to a public swimming pool. And Jihyeon, she writes that she visited the swimming pool as an adult after a gap of many years. She hadn't been to the public swimming pool since she was a child. And when she dived into the water, she was struck by the differences that she experienced between this sort of noisy surface world and then this tranquil underwater space. And she writes about this sort of sense of freedom that she experienced, and that sense of freedom inspired her to write this book. And I think she has a very interesting creative process. You can read some interviews with her in various places online. And it's interesting to learn how she actually goes about designing and drawing her picture books. So for Pool, after this initial inspiration of visiting the public swimming pool, so she made a series of sketches of the images that came to her mind, and then she built up a selection of scenes, sort of changing them as the ideas developed and progressed. And she says that Pool was actually quite a different story to begin with. So originally it was about a little boy and a bear, a teddy bear or a real bear perhaps. And at some point she changed this to a little boy and a little girl. And then for this underwater section, she drew a sort of a series of thumbnails, kind of like a storyboard for a film or a screenplay. And then this became the underwater sequence. Then she illustrated each of these thumbnails as much larger illustrations. And she said that she observed, lots of swimmers and scuba divers. And when she was observing these divers, she observed the submerged bodies and how the movements become much slower when you're sort of submerged in water. And she wanted her characters to look like ballet dancers. And I think that's something that she definitely captures in the illustrations. She's also talked about this sort of journey or the process of personal discovery that she experienced while creating this. It was her first book, and how exciting and challenging it was to create this first her first work of art, her first sort of published work of art that she shared with the general public, and how she was filled with doubt when creating this book. And it's also very interesting. She didn't initially intend for this book to be wordless, right? There's no words, but the images told the story so well that she just decided that words weren't necessary. And then another interesting thing was this. She says that adult readers have responded to the book just as much as children. But when you read the book or when you look at the images, I don't think anyone will be surprised by that. It's very, very captivating. I mean, it's about children, but it's not really a book just for children. It's about the experience of being a child. And I think lots of adult readers have said that really this is a book for adults. And I think that's something that I agree with as well. So anyway, let me also tell you about her second book, Door. Just give me 1 second and I'll try and find the cover for that book. I indulged myself this year and bought this very large Samsung tablet, and it's extremely enjoyable reading picture books on this tablet. They really look fantastic. So this is her second book. It's called Door, and this was published in 2017. So that was 4 years after her debut, and it's interesting to read this book and to see how her work has progressed or changed in the intervening 4 years. So technically, okay, go away. Technically, this book it says, if you look at Amazon or you look at the website where you purchase books, it says this book is for 4 to 8 year olds. But again, just like Pool, technically it's a children's picture book, but really this is a book that adults can enjoy, just as much as children, if not even more so. And again, it's a beautiful, it's just a beautiful thing to look at and to see. Just the design of it is really exquisite, just very, very beautiful. I love these line sort of pencil drawings and the shading. The characters are just very expressive. They really, they're sort of deceptively simple images that express things about the human condition. Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful images, and I'm sure anyone will enjoy them. And again, so this story, it's some. If you look at some of the reviews online, people keep comparing it to Alice in Wonderland, and it is similar to Alice in Wonderland. It's also similar to Pool, because it depicts another young boy who enters a seemingly, magical or impossible world. Again, it starts with a young boy. This time he finds a key, and then he meets this sort of curious little insect-like creature. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but this sort of odd-looking little insect-like creature that leads him to a door, and through the door is a strange and surreal world filled with unusual trees, food, and creatures, and it's this kind of magical landscape. It's remarkably creative. You know, these little line drawings, they progress from sort of quite plain and, like I said, deceptively simple drawings into this explosion of weirdness and colour and strangeness. And this book isn't wordless. It does have language in it, in a sense. So the language of the creatures the little boy meets, they're depicted as squiggles, you know, so some kind of alien language, or a language that we can't understand. But this language barrier isn't a problem. The little boy manages to interact with these creatures despite this potential language barrier. You know, the strange creatures, they welcome the child into their lives, and he takes part in various activities that they're doing. So he goes to a wedding, he goes to a picnic, and, I think in this story, these different creatures that he meets, you can see a sort of celebration of difference. And again, it's an incredibly engaging, strange and captivating reading experience. And as the story progresses, the child becomes more colourful, and he seems full of life by the time he returns to his own side of the door, as it were. And it's just a remarkably engaging experience. And I think both of these books show, a very talented writer, a very, very talented illustrator, and a very talented storyteller. And I think that, children and adults, or children of all ages, will find a lot of things to appreciate about both of these books. So today we've been talking about Lee Jihyeon and her two books, Pool and Door, and it's a very strong recommendation for me. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and please let me know what you think of Lee Jihyeon's books, and take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.